The moon hung low over Dream Valley, its silver glow spilling across the meadows and lighting up every petal and leaf with a soft shimmer. The air was still and sweet, carrying the scent of jasmine and wild roses, and in the quietest corner of the valley, hidden behind a curtain of willow branches, was a small, secret garden. It wasn't an ordinary garden. By day, it looked like nothing more than a patch of grass and a few sleepy shrubs. But at midnight, when the stars leaned closer and the night grew hushed, the garden awoke. The blossoms unfolded their petals with a sigh, glowing gently in shades of pink, blue, and gold. Vines sparkled with dewdrops that shimmered like strings of tiny lanterns. Fireflies drifted lazily above, their lights weaving soft trails through the air. And in the very center of it all sat a fairy named Lily. Lily was small, no bigger than a sparrow, with wings that shimmered like glass sprinkled with starlight. Her hair was the color of moonlight, and her dress was woven from petals that shifted colors depending on her mood. Tonight, it glowed a soft lavender, calm and curious, as she perched on a toadstool, her bare feet brushing the moss below. She yawned, her wings fluttering gently, and whispered, "It's almost time." Every night at midnight, the midnight garden came alive, and Lily was its keeper. She watered the blossoms with silver dew, hummed lullabies to the vines, and whispered to the fireflies so they would know where to dance. But tonight felt different. The air had a heavier hush, as though the garden was waiting for something. Lily tilted her head, listening closely. Beyond the garden walls, the forest rustled softly. The stars twinkled brighter, like eyes peeking through the velvet sky. And then she heard it, a faint chime, like a bell carried on the wind. It wasn't from her garden. It was drifting from somewhere beyond the willow branches. Her wings quivered with curiosity. What could that be? She murmured. The midnight garden was her world, but she had never heard a sound quite like this before. She slid down from the toadstool, brushing moss from her dress, and tiptoed across the glowing petals. The blossoms bent gently toward her as she passed, bowing as though to say, "Be careful, little keeper." But Lily only smiled softly, brushing her hand against their petals. "Don't worry, I'll come back soon. I just need to see what waits beyond." At the edge of the garden, the willow branches swayed even though there was no wind, parting just enough to reveal a silver path glowing faintly in the moonlight. The chime sounded again, clearer this time, like a song calling her name. Lily's heart fluttered, not with fear but with wonder. She drew her wings close, took a slow breath, and stepped onto the glowing path. The fireflies followed, their lights bobbing like tiny lanterns to guide her way. Behind her, the midnight garden shimmered, waiting patiently. Ahead of her, the night stretched wide, full of secrets and soft magic. And so, with the moon above and the stars watching, Lily the fairy began her journey into the midnight world beyond her garden. The silver path shimmered beneath Lily's bare feet, soft as silk and cool as starlight. Each step she took made the ground beneath her glow just a little brighter, as though the night was gently lighting the way. The chime floated again, faint but steady, carrying through the still air like a note plucked from a harp. Lily's wings quivered, her lavender dress shifting to a soft shade of silver as her curiosity deepened. The willow branches closed gently behind her, leaving the midnight garden glowing faintly in the distance. Fireflies swirled around her shoulders, keeping pace with her tiny steps. Their lights bobbed in rhythm with the chime, as though they, too, could hear the call. As Lily followed the path, the forest around her began to change. By day, this forest looked ordinary, tall trees, tangled roots, quiet streams. But now, in the hush of midnight, it had transformed. The trunks of the trees glowed faintly with pale spirals, like hidden runes that only awoke under the moon. Mushrooms sprouted along the base of the trees, their caps glowing blue and pink, forming a trail like scattered stars. Even the streams that cut across the path glittered, each ripple catching the moonlight like flowing ribbons of silver. Lily paused at one of the streams, kneeling to dip her fingers into the water. It wasn't cold, it was warm, like liquid light, and it hummed faintly under her touch. The ripples spread outward, glowing brighter where her hand had stirred them. She whispered, "Even the streams are singing tonight." As she lifted her hand, the water clung to her fingertips, shaping itself into a tiny star before dissolving into the air. The fireflies darted closer, circling her excitedly, as though they knew she had touched something important. The chime sounded again, louder this time, and Lily rose quickly, her wings fluttering as she continued along the path. Her heart beat softly, in rhythm with the sound, pulling her forward. Soon, she came to a clearing she had never seen before. The trees bent inward, their branches forming an archway covered in moonflowers. The blossoms had just opened, their petals glowing white, their scent sweet and calming. At the center of the clearing stood something that made Lily's breath catch, a tall, silver tree unlike any other. Its trunk shimmered as though woven from strands of light, and its branches reached high into the sky, cradling the stars themselves. Hanging from those branches were hundreds of tiny bells, each one glowing faintly. And as the night breeze whispered through, they chimed together, soft and sweet, like 1,000 lullabies played at once. Lily placed a hand on her chest, her eyes wide. "This must be the bell tree," she breathed. She had heard stories whispered by older fairies about a tree that held the songs of the night, but she never believed it was real. Yet here it stood, shimmering before her. The fireflies darted upward, weaving between the bells. Each one they touched rang out with a note, delicate and pure. The sound filled the clearing, wrapping around Lily like a blanket of calm. She stepped closer, her wings brushing the glowing petals of the moonflowers, and tilted her head back. One bell, small and golden, swayed on its branch as though calling her. Its chime was soft, but it rang differently from the rest, clearer, warmer, as though it had been waiting for her. Lily whispered, "Are you the one who called me here?" The bell rang again, its glow pulsing in rhythm with her voice. She felt warmth rush into her chest, the same way the midnight garden always filled her when she cared for it. The bell tree swayed gently in the night breeze, the song of its bells blending with the hush of the forest, and Lily knew this was only the beginning. Something magical was waiting within those chimes. Lily stood beneath the great bell tree, her wings trembling softly as the sound of its lullaby filled the clearing. The silver branches swayed with the night breeze, each bell ringing in its own gentle rhythm. Yet her eyes stayed fixed on the small golden bell that glowed brighter than the rest. It swung lightly, though no wind touched it, its chime warm and sweet, as if it were speaking only to her. The fairy stepped closer, her lavender dress brushing through the moonflowers at her feet. The petals leaned toward her as she passed, glowing brighter as if encouraging her on. She raised a small hand, hesitating for just a heartbeat, then touched the bell. The moment her fingers brushed it, the golden glow spilled outward like ripples across the water. The sound of its chime deepened, becoming a single, steady note that wrapped around her like a hug. Lily gasped softly as her feet lifted from the ground. Her wings fluttered instinctively, but she didn't need them, the light itself was carrying her. The fireflies swirled in delight, following her upward into the glow. The clearing below shimmered, fading slowly, until all around her was golden light. The bells above her blurred into soft stars, and the next thing she knew, she was standing in a place unlike any she had ever seen. It was another garden, but not the one she tended every night. This garden stretched far and wide, hidden beyond the veil of the ordinary world. Flowers taller than trees swayed gently, their petals glowing in rainbow shades. Vines curled along the sky, their blossoms dangling like lanterns. Streams of liquid starlight wound through the grass, glowing paths that hummed with music. And above it all, the moon was enormous, glowing like a guardian watching over this hidden realm. Lily placed a hand over her heart, her breath soft. "The midnight garden's secret," she whispered. "This must be the heart of it." Her wings quivered as she stepped onto the glowing grass. The sound here was different too, the air carried whispers. Not frightening whispers, but soft voices, like old songs hummed by the earth. When she tilted her head, she realized the whispers weren't random at all. They were dreams. Dreams that had floated through the night, gathered here by the bell tree to rest until morning. She saw them as faint, glowing orbs drifting among the flowers, blue ones that pulsed slowly like ocean tides, golden ones that shimmered like laughter, silver ones that flickered softly like lullabies. Each one belonged to someone sleeping peacefully somewhere in the world beyond. The midnight garden had always felt magical, but now she understood why. It wasn't just a garden of glowing petals, it was a keeper of dreams. The fireflies darted happily among the orbs, careful not to disturb them. Lily knelt beside one, a pale pink glow that hovered near the grass. When she reached out, it floated closer, brushing her palm with warmth. In that moment, she saw a vision, a little child curled in bed, smiling in their sleep, dreaming of chasing butterflies across a sunny meadow. Her eyes softened, her lips curving into the gentlest smile. So this is what the bell tree protects, the dreams of everyone. The golden bell's chime echoed faintly, reminding her why she had been called here. She rose slowly, looking around the vast, glowing garden. It wasn't frightening, nor overwhelming. It was calm, patient, and steady, like the stars themselves. And somewhere in its endless glow, she felt there was something waiting especially for her. Her wings fluttered, catching the moonlight, and she whispered into the air, "If I've been brought here, there must be a reason." The garden hummed softly in reply, and the path of starlit streams stretched before her, leading deeper into the heart of the midnight world. Lily stepped carefully along the path of starlit streams, her wings trailing soft sparks of light as she moved. The fireflies followed close, weaving their golden glow in gentle spirals around her, while the air carried the steady hum of dreams. Each orb drifted calmly through the vast garden, silver dreams of quiet nights, golden dreams of laughter, blue dreams of calm seas, but one glow among them was different. It hovered farther down the path, brighter than the rest, yet its light pulsed unevenly, like it was searching for something. Unlike the other dreams, which floated peacefully, this one trembled faintly, its glow flickering as though it was waiting for someone to notice. Lily's heart gave a soft flutter. "You're alone, aren't you?" she whispered. She stepped closer, and the orb drifted toward her, its glow settling into a calm rhythm the moment her hand reached out. When her fingers brushed its surface, a warmth spread through her chest, deeper than before, and her vision filled with gentle colors. Inside the orb, she didn't see a child or a sleeping creature. She saw nothing. Not emptiness, but an unfinished dream, a quiet place with no story yet written. Rolling hills waited without footsteps. A meadow stretched without laughter. The sky glowed, but no one stood beneath it. It was a dream waiting to be filled. Lily gasped softly. "But whose dream are you?" The orb pulsed once, slow and steady, and for a heartbeat she thought she heard her own name whispered in its glow. Lily. Her wings quivered. "Me," she breathed. "A dream for me?" The golden bell from the tree rang faintly in the distance, its sound reaching her even here. The hum of the garden deepened, as though confirming it. Not every dream belonged to the children beyond the valley. Some dreams belonged to the keepers, to those who guarded the night. The bell tree had not only called her here to tend, it had called her to receive. The orb brightened in her palm, and suddenly images swirled inside. She saw the midnight garden glowing brighter than ever, its flowers blooming in endless colors. She saw herself not just tending it, but laughing with fireflies, dancing with the blossoms, singing with the vines. She saw herself surrounded by warmth, never lonely in her quiet corner of the night. Her eyes filled with wonder, her smile trembling. "It's my dream," she whispered, her voice soft as the glow. "The garden's gift to me." The orb drifted higher, circling her once before dissolving gently into her chest. The warmth spread through her entire body, wrapping her like a blanket. Her wings shimmered brighter, glowing like spun silver, and her dress shifted into soft rose pink, glowing with her joy. The fireflies chirped with tiny sparks, swirling around her in celebration. The starlit streams rippled brighter, their glow spilling over the grass, as if the entire midnight world was pleased. Lily pressed a hand to her heart, feeling the dream resting there now, steady and calm. She had always cared for others' dreams, tended the blossoms and soothed the night, but now she carried her own dream too, a place where she belonged, safe and loved. The golden bell rang once more, louder this time, and the garden's glow began to shift around her. The starlit streams blurred, the orbs of dreams drifting back into the distance. The air hummed softly, like a lullaby drawing to its end. Lily knew she was being carried back. Back to the willow curtain, back to her midnight garden, back to her toadstool and mossy floor. But this time, she wasn't returning empty. She was carrying her own dream home. She closed her eyes, the warmth in her chest steady, and let the golden glow guide her back. The golden glow faded gently, and when Lily opened her eyes again, she was back beneath the curtain of willow branches, standing at the edge of her midnight garden. The familiar scent of jasmine and wild roses wrapped around her like an embrace, and the soft glow of the blossoms seemed brighter than before, as if they knew she had brought something precious back with her. Her wings still shimmered faintly with silver light, and her chest glowed with the warmth of the dream she now carried. She placed her hand over her heart, feeling it pulse steadily inside her, and smiled softly. "I found it," she whispered. "My dream. The garden gave me one of my own." The fireflies darted happily ahead of her, circling the flowers and weaving golden trails as they went. The vines swayed gently as she passed, brushing her dress with their glowing leaves. Even the moss under her bare feet hummed faintly, warm and alive, as if every part of the garden was welcoming her home. Lily stepped back to her favorite toadstool in the center of the garden and perched upon it. The blossoms leaned toward her in greeting, their petals glowing softly in shades of blue, pink, and gold. She reached out and brushed a bloom with her fingertips, and it pulsed warmly beneath her touch, like the heartbeat of a friend. "You've always been magical," she whispered to the flowers, her voice gentle, "but tonight you gave me something more. You reminded me that I belong here, too. Not just as a keeper, but as someone who dreams." The garden responded in its own way. The vines swayed softly like dancers, the fireflies hovered in glowing spirals, and the blossoms opened wider, their light spilling into the night. Even the stars above seemed to bend closer, their glow mingling with the gardens until the whole place shimmered like a living dream. Lily tilted her face upward, her moonlit hair falling across her shoulders. The hum of the midnight garden filled her ears, steady and calm, wrapping her in the same comfort she had felt when the golden orb dissolved into her chest. For the first time, she felt not only like the garden's caretaker, but also part of its story. She leaned back on the toadstool, her wings folding neatly behind her, and let out a small yawn. The petals of the nearest blossoms shifted, curling slightly inward as though they were tucking her in. The fireflies floated above her head, their light dimming to a soft glow, patient and steady. The garden seemed to whisper to her in its hum, "Rest now, little keeper. You have tended others. Now let your dream tend to you." Lily's eyelids grew heavier, her lavender dress glowing faintly as it shifted into a deeper rose, reflecting the warmth in her heart. She curled her legs onto the toadstool, her arms resting in her lap, and sighed with a smile. The midnight garden glowed around her, calm and timeless, every petal and leaf breathing with her. And Lily, carrying her dream safely within her, knew she was ready for the deepest rest the night could give. The midnight garden shimmered as though it, too, was exhaling after a long night. The blossoms leaned inward, their glowing petals curving softly toward Lily like a blanket being tucked around her. The fireflies floated gently above, their golden light pulsing slower and slower, matching the rhythm of her steady breath. Even the vines along the willow curtain swayed just once before becoming still, as though the entire garden had decided to fall quiet with her. Lily sat curled on her toadstool, her wings folded neatly at her back, her hair glimmering like strands of moonlight. The dream she carried inside her chest pulsed warmly, filling her body with peace. She could feel it humming, soft and patient, reminding her she no longer only tended to the dreams of others. Tonight, she had been given her own. Her eyelids fluttered closed, and the garden's hum deepened into a lullaby. The petals whispered with the breeze, the moss beneath her pulsed faintly like a heartbeat, and the air itself felt warm, like it was holding her close. Slowly, she drifted down into the gentlest sleep. In her dream, the midnight garden bloomed brighter than ever before. Flowers the size of stars opened around her, their petals glowing in every shade of color she could imagine. Fireflies swirled like constellations above, weaving ribbons of golden light through the sky. The bell tree shimmered in the distance, its chimes soft and steady, ringing only for her. And in this dream, Lily laughed, her voice blending with the song of the blossoms and the whispers of the vines. She danced barefoot along the mossy paths, her dress shifting into colors of rose, lavender, and silver. The garden was alive with joy, but not overwhelming, calm, safe, like a home that had always belonged to her. The dream held no rush, no sharp edges, only warmth and wonder, carrying her deeper and deeper into rest. Back in the real garden, the night stayed still, guarding her slumber. The moon leaned low, spilling a final wash of silver light across the blossoms. The stars blinked slowly, like sleepy guardians watching from above. The air was cool, but not cold, it wrapped her like a quilt of night. And as Lily's breaths grew slower, the entire midnight garden seemed to breathe with her. She was safe, she was home. And her dream would watch over her until the morning sun kissed the valley awake. The story of Lily and the midnight garden closes gently, whispering to every child listening, "You are safe. You are warm. You are loved. And your dreams are waiting to hold you tonight." The moon lowered, the stars blinked once more, and the world, princess, garden, blossoms,